Good evening. Welcome along to the NUFC360 podcast. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Stuart. Today I'm with our full squad, I'm glad to say. Back again, we have Matt, Max, and Joel. Welcome along, guys. I'm going to come to you individually and asking how you are on this lovely Tuesday evening. Start off with you, Joel. How are you, mate?
Spot on. I mean, it's been a cold day today out in the town. I decided to go and wear shorts for whatever reason. Did regret it later on. But no, everything's good. City's bouncing, Newcastle are winning, so all is good.
Fantastic. Great to hear. Matt, how are you, mate?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Sorry, I missed last week, but I was away on holiday, so it's a good excuse to be away. But
Where did you go? Where did you fly off to?
I went to Portugal. Just went there for a few days.
Very nice.
Yes.
I mean, I appreciate that you still managed to get into the comments and get involved in some way last week. That was an impressive commitment. So
yeah, I saw on my phone. I thought, I'm just going to
were you a couple of beers deep at that point, just to jumping on and?
Well, you know what? I was actually halfway through a steak, and I thought, just good comments.
I love this podcast. There's no way I'm leaving it for a steak. I will totally finish that steak. I will do that afterwards. Max, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm going on holiday soon to Newcastle on Sunday.
Yeah.
Super excited for it. Can't wait. So I'm buzzing.
Oh yes, very good. You'll have an absolute ball. Fantastic. Yeah, thanks very much, guys. We've touched upon it a little bit from Joel there. We're going to have a little chat about the Aston Villa match. We also didn't have a full review of the game on the channel, so we're going to do that now with us, and then we're going to have a bit of a chat about the season. We're going to get carried away. That's what we're going to do, because we should, because I've seen a lot of different channels and things talk about it, and some are being sensible, just being sensible. I'm going to get carried away. I don't know about you guys. I am getting carried away and very excited about things because it's great. But we'll talk about the Aston Villa match on the weekend there past. Aston Villa came to St James's to get there. I heard this quoted from a fan on Twitter. Their usual 3 points, and they left with none, and a bit of a hiding with a 4-0 victory for Newcastle. A fantastic result. And I wanted to get your opinion, lads, on basically how you felt the match went. So, Max, we'll start with you. For you, was that our best performance of the season, do you think?
The second half was really good, really good.
Where does it rank for you? Where does the second half rank for you?
Because of the position, they have some good players, Villa, but since they don't have a manager or technical manager, the performance falls a bit short, in my opinion, because of the Tottenham one and other performances. But in terms of just dominance, it's really high up there. Might be even be first, because for the whole second half they didn't have a sniff of the goal. It was a great thing to watch. You could just enjoy the whole second half. So it was really good. Yeah.
Joel, is that... Well, first of all, same question to you. I suppose, is it our best performance, do you think? Even elements of it second half?
Yeah. I certainly think second half was one of the, the best sort of, the most expansive games attackingly we've played. I mean, we completely dominated them. First half was quite frustrating. I'll give it them. They were probably competitive for maybe 15 minutes, maybe at the start of the game, but it was very stop-starty, obviously, with Martinez getting injured. Then Buendia stayed down for a while as well. So it was almost like we couldn't get into a rhythm of constant attacking and be able to control the game. But certainly second half, that was probably up there with the Arsenal game in terms of domination. And then, I mean, you saw the stats after the game. They were pretty incredible. They didn't have a shot on target all game. I think they only conceded 3 shots all game. So yeah, it was just domination for at least 55, 60 minutes of the game.
I mean, that interesting sort of fact that they had 3 shots and then Emilio Martinez went off with a concussion and then did no more. It was as if he was their playmaker, hoofing the ball up front. That was their only way they were going to get in, try and get him behind, launch it up top. But that is just, I completely agree, Joe. It's it's so strange to see a Newcastle side do this, go in and completely dominate a game. We've been under, Rafa, who we all loved. I certainly did. But obviously, due to the nature of the squad, had to be very defensive, and we were delighted to get away with 1-0 wins and things like that. But also playing defensively, not leaking goals. But we're doing it further and further up the pitch. Matt, for you, do you concur with Joel and Max? Is that what you're thinking? Best performance of the season, or is that the way you felt that we've best expressed our identity as an Eddie Howe team?
Yeah, I certainly agree with the lads, especially it's certainly a tale of two halves. The first half was, I felt, a bit slow. We struggled to really get a good flow of the game and get going, but I felt comfortable going in at half time, to be honest. I felt like we're at home, we've been brilliant recently over the past few months, and I felt like we were still going to win quite comfortably, and we did. The second half, we just took control and we just absolutely bossed them. I think we spoke about it previously in the past, a few podcasts. We spoke about when we were drawing all those games, we were due a hiding of some teams. It was only a matter of time before we started smashing a few teams, and it looks like we have the past few games. I think we scored 5 against Brentford, and then we scored for Fulham, and 4 again at Villa. So it just seems like it's been a long time coming and long way to continue.
Yeah, I mean, there's an interesting, and look, I thought we getting carried away. I mean, I'm going to get carried away because I suppose you never know what's around the corner, but I think the fact that in the calendar year, I think we're 5th. I think I saw a stat today. We're 5th most consistent in the form table for the entire calendar year, so from January, and that there's no real reason we'll actually just drop off a cliff, really. So we're not saying it's guaranteed, but the likelihood is we're going to get better and better. If you take those 2 draws, which Bournemouth wasn't the greatest performance, Palace were very unlucky, disallowed goal. And say you get your 4 points from there, so the extra 2 in each of them, which definitely one of them would deserve, one of them were very unlucky. And then we take a point. I know I'm stretching here with the Liverpool result, which the million years of VAR and the goal that should have stood for Isak's second goal. That gives you another 5 points. I know that's a small margin. That puts us second. Like that's where we are. Like that's not, there's not a huge stretch there. The only time we've got beat was a 99th or 98th minute winner. We are up there now, and I don't think it is amazing. I'm completely shocked. I wasn't expecting it. We all sat in this pod and said the exact same thing, I think pretty much at the start of the year, where we're like, look, lads, it's transition season, to take 7th place right now, snap your hands off for it, maybe even 8th, and a really good cup run. Would love it. So to find yourself up there is just incredible. I wanted to get your quick opinions on man of the match. Just before I do that, producer Mark coming in, top of the form table in October. So yeah, very relevant, not just the calendar year, but we are the best team in the league for October. Scored 13, conceded 3, just wacky numbers. And not, we've had some easier games. You could argue Villa with an easier game with no manager, as Max has pointed out. But you went away to Spurs, we went away to Manchester United with tough games. I want to get your opinion very simple on the man of the match. I'm very, very interested in hearing your opinions on this. Joel, I'll start. Well, Matt, I'll start with you because you were last. Sorry. So, who was your man of the match on at the weekend?
I must say it's actually hard to say. I feel like every single player he's playing really well. I don't think many of them are actually making mistakes, or because the team playing so well as individuals and as a team, it seems like not one player is sticking out where I can go, oh, okay, he's been, the clear standout today. So it's a bit of a tough question, really. If I had to go with somebody,
you have to. Contractually, you have to.
I'm just going to go with Joe Willock then, because I feel like he's gone under the radar slightly.
That's a good shout. Yeah. And
why? I just feel as though he's been playing really well, and it sort of goes unnoticed. I love the way he wins the ball back and he drives at the opposition's defences, and he gets himself into great positions. Yeah, he hasn't probably scored enough, but I feel like he's a big part of this team, and people probably don't even realise. So I'd have to give him some credit. Absolutely.
Completely agree. Well, I agree necessarily, but I completely see your point. Black Mamba and producer Mark, by the way, saying Wilson, Black Mamba, Wilson created space, set up passes that led to Joe's goal, deserved a hat trick. Certainly did. I agree with that. If Gareth doesn't take him to Qatar, then it'll be a massive snub. We'll come on to that, Black Mamba. Trust me. Joe, your man of the match.
It's a hard one. I think it's between Wilson and Joe Linton, because I mean, both similarly. Like they had the international managers watching them. Southgate was there, Brazilian manager was there, and I think obviously Bruno's, it's concrete he's going to be in the squad. However, Joe Linton's a bit, he's on the edge. But I thought that performance he played so well. Like I think there was a few graphics that have been released since the game, and it showed his interceptions, his pass succession. So I thought he's probably up there. But I'll go with Wilson because this was his sort of last chance, or one of his last chances to prove how good he is for Southgate's squad. And I thought he took that opportunity perfectly. Like Black Mamba said, he should have probably had a hat-trick. He's hold up play. He's obviously contributed with assists as well. I just thought his overall game was brilliant. So I'll go with Wilson.
Before you go, Max, because mine is relevant to this, mine would have been Joe Linton, by the way. I was very close to that. I thought Wilson was fantastic. Obviously, getting the goals does change the game when he does get them. And there's probably another one person I haven't mentioned, but we'll come to that. But I just thought he was phenomenal. He's playing a different position, but he still works so hard and kind of moves back into centre mid when he can. He's allowed that freedom a wee bit. His attacking sense is very good as well. The amount of times he gets the ball when I think, oh, that ball's lost, it's gone. He's got it. He has it. Even with the goal for Wilson, or for his goal, sorry, he goes into a tackle and I think, oh, he's not going to get that ball. It squirms through. Wilson gets the chance, but because he's in there putting the tackle, I just thought he's fantastic. He'd be a massive miss at Southampton because I just think he's brilliant. And on Brazil, here's an interesting one for you. So at the moment, he's not in the squad. And I'm only going in the last squad that they had. Their midfielders from the last squad are Bruno Guimaraes, fine. Casemiro, he looked pretty good for Man United. A bit old, to be honest. He's 31, isn't he? He's a little bit older. Lucas Paqueta I haven't really heard too much. Have any of you heard much about how Lucas Paqueta's getting on at West Ham?
He's injured right now.
He's injured, right? Okay, well, it might factor in. Yeah, maybe that's why. I haven't, because I expected to. We heard so much of Bruno instantly at Newcastle. Even people who weren't Newcastle fans were hearing about him. I've heard nothing about him. Fabinho, another old one, very good player, but another slightly older player. Fred at Man United, and Everton, Ribeiro, who I don't really know much about. There's a very strong argument, Joe, as you say, he should be in amongst that, surely.
I think he should be. Personally, I mean, I know it's hard to create a completely neutral opinion, but I really do think he should be in the squad.
He can play in so many positions. I know he's not the best striker. We all know that, but he can go up front if he needs to. They have Neymar, and they don't need that. But he's such a solid player. Wins the ball back, wins your possession, and the way Eddie Howe's playing, with advance and win the ball hard. But is that not exactly what Brazil would need? I just think it's crazy that he's not. I just want to see two Newcastle players in centre midfield playing for Brazil at the World Cup. That's all I want. That's all I want to see. Both of them playing together, because it would be fantastic. Max, sorry, I've kept you waiting there. Who was your man of the match?
I agree with all of you. It's a really good point. Callum Wilson would probably be my choice because it's quite obvious, 2 goals, 2 assists, did a really good performance. But I will take someone else. Say Kieran Trippier again.
Ooh,
I think it's just phenomenal. A really great footballer. He's can't pronounce it. Really good as a right back. The corner variant, really good. The ball he put in, like the ship cross, absolutely fantastic. And the way he controls the game from right back it amazes me all the time. And how he has not started for England this time is beyond me, because he's so good both defensively and offensively. And I saw now today some Champions League game. Atletico Madrid lost and went out of the group stage. Lost in their group, and since they lost him, they've been going really downwards really fast. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's a factor. He's been so good for us. He's in the team of the week every time.
I mean, we've talked a bit in the podcast quite a bit about him, and he's such a leader on the pitch and off the pitch. And I think a lot of people have mentioned this, but the part when he got substituted with 5 minutes to go, basically just resting his legs, and Lascelles came on, and he runs over to Lascelles and puts the armband on him. So it's a very poignant, maybe the wrong word, because there's not much emotion attached to it, but he could be sulky, he could be Ronaldo, he could be throwing toys out. He's just not that guy. He's such a good dude. He's so in it for the right reasons, And when he signed, if you all remember, it was I must be getting a bit of fortune, and there's going to be a relegation release clause and all that stuff. It's none of that. He can pay within the structure of the club, which is very whatever it is, and there's no release clause. So had we went down last year, there's every reason to think he'd be playing in Championship, which would be insane, by the way, to see him playing Championship, because he is an elite level footballer. Every single match he plays, he is consistently top drawer, just fantastic. So Max, could not agree more. We haven't mentioned Miguel Almiron, who was once again absolutely brilliant. And I think the goal. I mean, a word about Miguel, please, guys. Just in general, a word about him. We were all talking about how well he played. We talked about last week and the week before, but how well he's played since the start of the season, and even pre-season. He was very good pre-season. There were 2 goals over in Portugal. Do we need to replace him? Do we need to buy someone? What's your feelings on that? Anyone want to jump in?
I mean, I think you've just sort of mentioned it there. He's now producing consistent, and that's the key word there. Performances. That was always his sort of problem. He'd go through a lot of spells of, not really doing much, maybe ghosting in games, and then he might come up with a goal. But now I've sort of became personally accustomed to him either scoring or assisting at home. Every time I watch him, I don't know, he seems his ball retention as well. When he's on the ball, you're not cringing whether he's going to lose it. He seems confident with it. And I know he's just playing the best I've ever seen him. So would I replace him? Absolutely not at the minute. I mean, if you asked us that maybe 8 to 10 months ago, then I'd probably give you a different answer. But right now, absolutely no.
Everybody would. It's not. You're not being unrealistic there at all. I don't think that's unfair to say. It's XG against it's wacky this year, which was 4.98. And to give you a bit of context there, last season it was 1.71. So he's more than quadrupled his XG, and that's, for those that don't know, putting himself in goal scoring positions. Now, that's good, but it shows you that he still is a little bit wasteful at times. He will make the odd we pass wrong, but that's okay, because of the way Eddie Howe's playing, he's getting so many more chances. A big thing for Almiron is the player that Max mentioned is Trippier, because he plays so much better with Trippier. Even the goal, Matt mentioned the wee chip was a set piece from Trippier and from Almiron, where he passes out, wee back heel, chips it on. Callum Wilson hands it in. I mean, you couldn't draw that on a board. It's perfect. It was just a perfect reset piece.
I loved it.
It was fantastic. Matt, Almiron, what's your feelings?
I've always liked Almiron. I've always sort of backed him when probably there wasn't much to back him about, because obviously he didn't support it with numbers, and I didn't really offer a lot, to be honest. He was a bit like a headless chicken, but I did feel for him. I could sort of see there was a player in there, because yes, he's come from the MLS and he played well there, and it's a completely different standard. I get that. But the type of goals he was scoring in the MLS is now the type of goals he's scoring currently. He was scoring some great individual goals, and I feel like he was suffering under previous managers and coaches. The way we set up in that team, it's just, he had no hope. It didn't feel like he had people around him who were good enough. He didn't have the proper support. Going forward, it seemed like he lacked options. But now I feel like he's really benefiting, obviously because of the way Eddie Howe plays. But you just mentioned Trippier just behind him. You've also got Bruno next to him, and those two are just popping the ball off, no problem. So if you've got Trippier behind him and Bruno next to him, he's only gonna, with the quality of those players, he's only gonna benefit from it, and it seems like he is.
One of the things I've noticed that Bruno loves doing is when he has the ball around the sort of not 6 yard area, around the edge of the penalty area, and he'll get the ball, and instead of pass a simple pass, he's a wee dink in, and it worked once for 1 hour on his goal. He always does it. Doesn't always work, but it's just a wee dink over the top. It's absolutely beautiful every single time. So we lift over the top.
It produced a corner which led to the second goal.
Yeah, it did. It did. Very true. Yeah, it's class. We'll move on, gents, from the Aston Villa game and just the players in general. As brilliant as it was just fantastic. I mean, for a bit of context, like I've supported Newcastle my whole life, but I've known my wife before I married her, so for about 15 years, and obviously supported Newcastle then. But if you go back 15 years, you're talking just before Mike Ashley, we're pretty crap. So she doesn't care about football, so she only sees football through the lens of Newcastle, because that's all I ever watch generally, or what I'm talking about. So for her, Newcastle have always been crap, just always. Forever in time have been crap. And so she was watching the game, or the game was on the background. I was watching it, she was doing stuff, and she was just like, she was watching going, she almost didn't understand what was going on, like why this team was doing so well, like consistently attacking. Just hearing the noises I was making, like, missing or shouting when there's a goal. She was like, what's going on? And is this the same team? It's like, no, it's a completely different team. It's all new. It's incredible. So yeah, it's very exciting. And on that note, thinking about where we can go from here, we're currently fourth. Yes, we've a game there's a game in hand on some of us, as in Man United, I think have a game in hand on us. And I think Chelsea could be all of that. Excuse me. So I want you to get excited, or I want you to either bring me down to earth or let me get excited. We are top of the form table for October, the top four. We are still missing Isak, £65 million player who scored with 2 and 3 games or something, 2 and 4. Basically a really good return for someone who's just got injured then. Seems to know where the net is. We're missing a fully fit ASM. Hopefully he's back for the weekend. Fully fit Shelby did play a good bit. Are we getting Champions League, Joel?
It's a hard question to answer.
It is.
I'd love to say yes. I mean, my answer is.
What's stopping us, I suppose, is a question, because I agree with you. And the hesitancy, I've really come around to it recently. Hesitancy is going, we can't be. We're not Champions League. This is transition year. We're 2 years ahead, 3, 4, 5 years ahead of schedule. But what is stopping us?
Mm-hmm. I know. I mean, when you look at the teams, I mean, I've got a graph of the Premier League table, and it's like I really cannot see we're finishing at the very worst outside top 7. So then you're like, are you going to be able to push teams like Manchester United, Chelsea, and if Liverpool decide to pick themselves up out of a Champions League spot? And what we've seen so far this season, then I'd have to go yes. Like if we keep everyone fit and we play at the level we've seen this past month, and if that plays across the entire season, then we've got to be banging with a chance. Mm-hmm. So I'd go with
optimism. Good man. I don't see. I'm not scared of anybody. Nobody. I'm not even scared of City. Like maybe at City. It's a library. Who cares? But we played them off the park for portions of that game. We really did, and we fought them tooth and nail the whole way. And I said it before. If Haaland wasn't playing, we would have beat them comfortably. They are one injury away from being a very good team still, but a team we could definitely compete with. You know what I mean? I think he missed the match the weekend, didn't he?
Yeah.
Who was that? Bournemouth? Was it Bournemouth? No.
Leicester.
Who've been crap. 1-0, just about. No, they were good, don't get me wrong, and Leicester were like 8 men in the back, like they were blocking it off. I understand that. But I just think it's and by no means am I saying we're better than Man City. I'm not. We're just not. But we're definitely in that conversation now, I think. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I agree, to be fair. It's very easy to get carried away, isn't it, and feel like, oh yeah, we're gonna make top 4. But the stats are backing it up. You look at every single stat. We're literally the top of every form table. We've conceded the least amount of goals. So it seems like a very confident way. I feel very confident going forward, to be honest, especially to make the top 4. So, yeah, I'm a bit of a brain freeze. Yeah, you're gonna come back to me.
I will. But you've made a good point there about the stats, because that's an important thing. And in the past, it's been a case of we've not been up there, but when we won in a certain manner, it might have been not sustainable. And this is sustainable. Arguably, we're not seeing the full Newcastle. And maybe what we saw at the weekend with the second half was we saw a team that were able to come out and take their chances. And that was when we had those 2 draws. Everyone was saying, no one was panicking. I don't think no sane Newcastle fan was panicking. They were saying, it'll come. we'll be fine. We just need to take our chances. And when we did, boom, 5-0, you're 5-1, 4-0, 4-1, 4-1, 16 goals the next 3, that's what happens. And people have tried to work us out, and they've come to the conclusion that if you sit back, you have a chance, especially James's, but not much of a chance, because as soon as we get one goal, you're completely snookered, because you have to come at us, or you just take the 1-0 and we'll take the points. Thanks very much. But if you do come at us and you do go for us, you're going to get cooked. Look what happened whenever Brentford tried to play football against us. It was an annihilation. If you try and play football against us, we'll punish you, and that's a lovely position to be in. Max, you're a very level-headed chap. Are we going to get top 4?
I mean, there's a lot of things to take into calculation, because around the teams around the top 6 right now, a lot of them are a bit shaky, in my opinion. Tottenham just came back against Bournemouth, 1-3-2, very impressive, but they were down 2-0. And Manchester United are still in a transition period with a new manager. Chelsea has a new manager. I don't think Potter will get his way of playing for them, like we saw in the weekend with Brighton beating them. So in that case, we have a good chance, because all these teams, and Liverpool as well, are really out of form.
Yeah,
they don't seem to get the thing together, and because we don't have Europe in the midweeks, we have the chance to recover during these weeks, whilst other teams need to play the Europe games. And then we have the World Cup in the middle of the year, which is a first thing, and you don't know what's going to happen with that after. We could be really good after it. We know we're going to Saudi Arabia in the training camp, or we could lose our momentum and need to build it up again. It's so the reason why I think it's possible, because it's a freakish year. It's nothing is that certain, and it's definitely a possibility if we keep on playing like we do. But that's the hard thing to do. I'm just waiting for that loss to happen and see how we bounce back from it, or what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, we'll come back to you in a second for your thoughts. Ryan Kelly, 2 really good points he's putting out there. Some people getting carried away a bit. I don't disagree, Ryan. I think I am certainly getting carried away, willingly, I think, but I think I'm getting carried away. 25 games left. These teams playing will pick up form eventually. What you're saying, Max, they're echoing what you're saying. It's a bit of an odd season, a bit like the Leicester season, in that a lot of teams don't really want to win it. But that's not our fault. So take advantage of that if we can, the way Leicester did. We're not going to win the league, but we can certainly be up there. Not a top form team yet, but we are. I suppose my point is we're top 4. I know I'm being facetious. I know what you mean, Ryan. Well, I know what you mean, Ryan. I don't disagree. And certainly if you'd asked me this sort of 8 weeks ago, are we top 4, I would have laughed you out of the room. But I think with all the things that have happened, with the fact that these teams have dropped off, there's been openings happening. Even Spurs, who've had their best start in something like, 20 years, something ridiculously good. They're 3rd, and Conte kind of under a bit of pressure. Like, there's a wee bit of pressure building there. They're not playing good football, and a bit like under Bruce when things were happening, it didn't seem sustainable what was happening. They were winning games, but they were maybe under the cost a lot, or it was very negative, or it wasn't great to watch. So yeah, look, Ryan Kelly finishes doing fantastic. If we keep going, you never know, and that's the thing, you do never know. I always come back to this one thing as who do I think can beat us. I genuinely don't think there are many teams I'm scared of. I don't. Like Southampton the weekend. I'm not saying I don't expect to go in and win every single game. I don't even expect to go down to Southampton and win the game. Do I think we'll win? Yes, but I'm not like going to throw my hands up and go mad if we don't, especially if it's not our fault. But what I expect us to do is to play with the same level of consistency as we've been doing the past game. And if we do that, I think we'll thump them, because I think we're a better team with a better squad and a better manager. Matt, wrapping up this section, what are your thoughts on top 4 in general then?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the home record will be a big part in how we do finish. If you look at the top 4 now, I'd definitely say every single team in the top 4 deserves to be there. If you look at the teams just outside, like you've got Manchester United, you've got obviously Manchester United, who are close by,
Chelsea,
Liverpool, Chelsea. If you look at those teams, I'm not worried or scared about any of them. We played Man City at home. We went right toe to toe with them. The only game we have lost this season was against Liverpool, and that was, in the very last second, literally last kick of the game. So going on for the towards the end of the season, if we do end up finishing in the top 4, then it's going to be due to beating the teams we never used to beat, which are probably the top teams in and around, between 10th and 5th. I feel like if we're comfortable around those, the rest, the bottom half, I'm fairly comfortable. But
yeah, I mean, and also don't forget the Liverpool game. People seem to gloss over this Liverpool game. Yes, Sony lost. Yes, they scored in the 98th minute, fine, time wasting, whatever. But before that, we had a perfectly good goal chalked off, which would have made it 2-0. We probably were, it wasn't a great performance that night in the sense of weren't our free flow and we didn't really go at Liverpool as much. They did have a lot of the ball. But we also had a lot of injuries that game. Bruno, I don't think, played. I don't think Joe Linton played. Did Joe Linton play or not? Not
think
sure.
So.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Max didn't play.
Maxi didn't. Wilson didn't. I know it was it Longstaff, Willock. Maybe Joe was playing. I can't remember. But was it? Shar. Did Shar not play as well? I think, was that what it was? Because I know that Lascelles played the whole game. So, by our current standard of our squad, that's a very different squad than we have now due to injuries and things, and still went very toe-to-toe for a long portion of the game. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, but I certainly am getting very excited. I think this is the best we've played possibly in my lifetime. I was kind of too young for the Keegan years. I was vaguely aware of it, but didn't understand football the same way I understand it now. But they were... and they played some really exciting and incredible exciting brand of football, but they weren't solid defensively, anywhere near solid defensive as we are now. And Noel McCann just dismantle teams is really exciting. Yeah. We're going to have a chat about some of the players that have been here for a wee while. There's been obviously a lot of talk about the signs we've made, Botman and Pope and Bruno and players like that. But obviously, I think that's been talked about quite a lot, is the fact that in the past couple of games, 3 or 4 games, we've had 6 players starting and nearly finishing the match that played under Bruce, under the previous manager, and generally played shite under Bruce, to be honest, for a lot of the time. And the change in those players has been incredible. So I'm going to give you the list of, not every single player, but the ones that have started. I want you to pick one. So I'll choose one first, give you a bit of time to think. And the person that's made the most... we'll do the most improvement, and I think you'll all pick the same one. So I want you to try and think of maybe 2 or 3. Have 2 or 3, because depending on who I'm going to go with, they'll pick the first one, and then you'll have to think of another one. So have a think about them all, and if your first one goes, pick a different one. So I'll read them out and give a bit of time to think. I'll sum it up is what I'll do. So Sean Longstaff played under Bruce, obviously played under Rafa, was great under Rafa. And then kind of fell off the face of the earth for a bit. But a few injuries. He had quite a notable injury, came back and was not the same player. Joe Willock signed under Bruce, was very good for a while, and then wasn't. Joe Linton, yep, £40-odd million striker. We all know what happened there. Callum Wilson, maybe there's not a change there. Maybe he's been as consistent as ever. I'll let you decide. Miguel Almiron signed again under Rafa. Okay under Rafa, it wasn't incredible, but okay. And under Bruce, the way he was. So if you have to pick one of those players and basically sum up how much they've improved, or who's improved the most, who would you pick? And I'll go with you, Max, first.
I'm gonna take Sean Longstaff, because I would say Joe Linton, of course, but it's the obvious.
You're nice.
one.
You're giving it to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, of course. But I also feel like Longstaff is a player who still divides the fan base a bit, because he is frustrating sometimes to watch. He still has the odd bad pass in him, and we saw it against Aston Villa in the weekend as well. And my dad got really angry with him because he thinks he's shit still. But me being a bit good at watching football more than him, maybe. I feel like he's, from when he started under Rafa, he was really good and stuff. We could see that he was a good player. Then he, as he said, he fell off and disappeared into a black hole. And now I feel like he's back to that level, if not even a bit better, because of his physique, and I think his running is really good. The only thing is the final pass, the good passing, but he does a lot of good defensive works, so I'll forgive him for that. But I think it's been massively improved this season, especially.
He's turned into that engine, hasn't he? The real engine room of the midfield. He's run so much. He might be the fittest player on the pitch at times. He's constantly running, even right to the last minute, which is again great and must be a nightmare to play against when you're absolutely wrecked and it's 85 minutes on the clock and you're 4-0 down and Sean Longstaff is nipping at your heels or running at you. You must be like, you should go away and you let me lag down. You must wreck you. Producer Mark says, forgetting Shar and Murphy. Murphy played quite well actually to come on so Aston Villa again. I think that's because they were so bollocked by like the 80th minute that when he came on, and he was run up against Ashley Young, who is not young obviously, and so he did play well actually, put a few good crosses in. I don't dislike Murphy at all, but probably one of the ones that will go in the summer, I imagine. The Shar is a very good shout from producer Mark, to be fair, and I've forgotten him because he has been brilliant this year. We saw Botman obviously come in second game of the season and keep his place, and there's in that discussion of Dan Byrne, who's played well, all that sort of stuff, and I was like, where does he come in? It's like, well, he can't come in because Shar's been amazing, and so's Botman. So Shar's been just fantastic, and for someone that was signed for about 3 million or something, it was really quite cheap. I think he's been just an incredible signing. He really has been. Matt, I'll come to you next. So we've had Longstaff. So you've got Willock, Joe Linton, Wilson Almiron, or if you want, Fabian Schär.
Yeah, I think the easy ones to say is Joe Linton, but the top ones for me would be Miggy, Fabian Schär, and Sean Longstaff.
Okay, what about
Fabian
Miggy?
Schär? Go on, sorry, Stu.
I was going to say, what specifically about Miggy, because he was your first one, what aspect of the game do you think he's changed or has improved under Howe as opposed to under Bruce?
You know what? I feel like the main factor is his confidence. I felt like he lacked a lot of confidence prior, like I spoke about earlier. But now in this team, he just seems to be thriving, and it's great to see because, I felt like his agent was calling for him to be on his way out soon.
That's right.
Prior to this, he's recently run a good form and playing under Eddie Howe and the change of management, the change of ownership, etc. But I do feel as though he's probably improved the most, apart from Joe Linton. But I must say, Sean Longstaff as well, like Max touched on earlier. Sean Longstaff, I feel as though he's in the team probably because of his engine more than anything. He covers a lot of ground. He's everywhere. And if he probably wasn't as fit as he was, he probably wouldn't be in that squad. Because I've never really been a big fan. Like I think Joel hasn't either. I do feel he's lacking certain elements to his game, but I feel like he's making up for it in the way he closes down, and he gets a lot more things right than he does wrong. And it's just great to see, especially because he's a local lad and he's got a great attitude. So I'd have to give a shout out to him as well.
He loves losing the ball. Now again, it just it does it all the time. It's so frustrating because I agree with everything you're saying, and I do love him. I think he's great, but just let a ball go. I'm like, it's just so close to being a brilliant player. Yeah, he does still has it in him. So I don't know if I'll ever go. I think he needs to add a few goals to his game. Not needs to. I think if he adds goals to his game, I think he will look. He will be. I'm not saying for £50 million, but you remember whenever. He was playing under Rafa and he was very good at scoring goals. Everyone was saying, Man United coming in with a £50 million bid, new Michael Carrick, blah, blah, blah. If he adds goals to his games, those conversations will start up again. Not necessarily 50, but those conversations of how much he's worth and things like that. So, yeah, look, he's one that I can see us keeping in the summer. I'm using it as kind of like a watershed as when we start bringing more people in as we transition forward. Not saying forever, but certainly as the squad grows and it's good to have a local lad around, knows what it means to play for the club.
I just add something. Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say, over the past month or so, this good form that we have had, he's been a big, big part of that. I feel he's been a massive part in how well and how solid we have played. So I feel like it's his place to lose at the minute. Especially when you've got a fully fit squad at the minute, I feel like he's definitely a starter on the team sheet. And I wouldn't have said that, a few months ago.
Has he started every game? As in on the run we've had?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think he has.
sure
I think he
that counts,
has.
yeah.
Producer Mark will correct me on that, and we'll confirm or correct me there. But I think that's pretty true. But yeah, but that says it all, you know. And like, Eddie, we said this in the not preview, but we very briefly discussed the Villa game, and we all said it'll be the same team. Because why would it not be? You know, we discussed, Maxi might play to them. No, it'll be the same team. And guess what will happen on Sunday? Guess what team it'll be? It'll be the same team because it will be. Why would it not be? The only time it won't be is the cup game because they'll change things then. So yeah. Anyway, so last one, Joel. You're going to say Joel Linton? Or are you going to say?
I could easily say, I mean, Joel Linton and Almiron, yeah, they are the most improved, but that would be quite boring to pick, wouldn't it? So I'll have to start off on Longstaff because, you know, I'm not his biggest fan. I have criticised him in the past, but this month he's played better than normal. I personally, and I'm being I'm being harsh here, but I think I'm being truthful. I don't think he's technically, and I don't think he has the potential to be as technically good as any of what like midfielders, and that includes obviously Kamara's, Willock, Joel Linton. I don't think he'll ever be even Shelby. I don't think technically he'll be as good as Shelby ever. But I completely echo what Matt has said about his work ethic. I think his work ethic the past 4 or 5 games has been absolutely exceptional, and I think that's why he is currently maintaining his place in the starting 11. I would like to give a shout out to my pal Longstaff, but I'm going to go Willock as an improved one because obviously when we brought Willock in, he came in, I don't know, not as a traditional goal scorer, but he managed to score goals under Bruce. Yeah. But then he really, really dropped off for quite a bit after that. And I think there's just been a resurgence. I think his work ethic's been up there. I think his technical ability is starting to show. He's actually, I think Willock's probably one of the fastest players we have in the team. It kind of goes unnoticed, but that kid's like, he runs so fast once he gets the ball. So like the way he travels with the ball, his ball retention, I think there's just so much that Eddie Howe's improved on. And I think now it's going to be, I love Shelby, really, really like Shelby, but the way Howe's going to, you know, get Shelby back in, Isak in, Maxi in without changing the sort of structure we've got at the minute, it's going to be really hard. So, I'll go with Willock for my most.
If you everyone playing at the peak of their powers, everyone's fully fit and fighting. Who's your centre mid? Your 3 in the middle, then, Joel?
Yeah. I mean, I think we've done this last week. I think I came up with it was Bruno, Shelby.
That's right.
And Joel Linton.
You did. You're quite right.
If he could prove that he is just as good and can play consistently well on the left wing, for the time being when we don't have Maxi back, because I'd rather have Maxi in full form, then I'd start Willock there and then play Joel Linton on the left. But it's just so hard because people are playing. There's a lot of players right now that are probably playing the best they've ever played, at least under Eddie Howe for us. So it's a difficult thing to speak about.
The Shelby thing's interesting. I never even included him. Now, that's because he's been injured for a good portion of the season. I've kind of forgotten about him, but he was very good under Howe. At the second half of last season, he was arguably the best midfielder, maybe apart from, he wasn't the best. He was very, very good. And he changed the way we play a little bit because he's capable of playing those cross-field balls that actually like Shar and Bruno does now, and Botman and things like that. So yeah, he'd be very good. Really interesting opinions, guys. Yeah, there's no wrong answers, so it's just nice to hear. Last sort of main topic of tonight is goals. Usually we're relying on one player, whether it's ASM or it's Wilson, to score goals, but we have a lot of different goal scorers this season for different positions. And given our free scoring squad, I would like you to tell me who you think will end up as the top goal scorer. And we've talked about this before on a different pod. It was a good long time ago. It was only when we signed Isak, actually. So considering what's happened and injuries and other players scoring, who do you think will be our top scorer this season? And Joe, I'll start with you this time first. You can go first.
I mean, I'm going to go for a generic answer, but I do think that it will be Callum Wilson. And that's not to say that Miggy will drop off or anything. It's just I think that if he stays fit, touch every bit of wood I can see currently, I think he'll be with top goal scorer. And I think Almiron will probably be second. Gamara's as well. He's towards the end of last season, he popped up in a few positions against Southampton, actually, which was the game I went to, which was his first goal, the back heel. Brilliant goal. But no, I think I'll go with Wilson because he's a proper target man. He's consistent in the Premier League. and if he stays fit, then I can't see anyone else scoring more than him.
Does anyone else? Do anyone think it's not Wilson? Before I ask you all the same stuff. No, you don't think it's Wilson?
No.
Fine, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you all said anyway. I mean, would you then say, Matt? Do you think that second will be Mickey?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I just feel like Miggy's going to have one of those seasons where we're going to go. Remember that season Miggy had 23, 20, 22, 23.
Yeah,
That'll be his season. I feel like he's going to push. He's going to push Wilson, but Wilson's had a good goal scoring record across all of his career, and even when he does get injured, he'll still hit double figures quite comfortably. So I'm pretty confident it'll be Wilson. Absolutely.
Max, what do you think? I mean, you think Wilson. Do you think Miggy second?
That depends on if Isak gets back quick enough.
I think he'll be second top goal scorer. I think
Yeah,
he's
he
going to have
could
a run.
be.
It's like I really think he will be. And here's why. I think did he play 2 or 3 games? He played Liverpool. He
Played
played
3,
4.
scored twice.
3, yeah.
Twice.
Scored 3.
Okay. Again, it was Bournemouth. He
3
played
goals,
against.
in my opinion, but yeah.
Well, yeah, he did. Let's pretend and call it that. Certainly,
No,
he did all the hard work. So so let's say he played Liverpool, scored twice, once, whatever. He scored a penalty against Palace. No, was it Palace or Bournemouth? Bournemouth. And then he did play in the law against Palace. Was he playing that? Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Missed
So
a
that was
1-on-1.
That's right. So yes, he did miss him 1-on-1. So he's missing one proper chance. Really, he's taking his chances really well. He's been playing at a time where the squad's been injury hit. Again, Liverpool, I'm thinking, or we've just not been at it really. At the same level we are now. I think if you put him in that squad on Sunday, I think he scores hat trick. Easy, it's absolutely easy. There's not even a conversation. The goals he's scored so far, I'm taking the penalty out of it because it's a set piece, but the goals against Liverpool, like they are quality goals, and not even like just nicking and taking your chance. He's making those himself. He's making the runs. I don't think he's better than Wilson, not yet anyway. But I think he's a fantastic player, and I think he's going to score a good lot of goals in the second half of the season. It's whether he can actually get in the team.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't know
if
Wilson stays fit. I can't see him, and he can't take Miggy's role now out on the right, like we said. That's at the beginning of the season because he's so good right now, and on the left, I don't think he's come to his right position. And but so we will see. But if we can start and play some games, I think definitely it can be second goal top scorer.
Back remember, if Wilson, if he stays fit, Mickey could be in there if he keeps goals coming. I'll tell you a player we haven't mentioned is ASM. Scored loads of goals for us previous seasons. Haven't talked about him. Haven't needed him, and that's so refreshing that we're not having to rely on him. I love ASM. Hope he starts the weekend. I think he's brilliant. His stats are insanely good. I know he's been out for a while and he plays a different way, but I really, really hope he comes back. And it's just so nice to have that. A quick bit of any other business, guys, and then we'll get on to name that tune for tonight. England. I couldn't give 2 figs about England, obviously. It's not my team, and Max probably in the same boat, but I want Callum Wilson to be happy, and he really wants to play for England. So I hope he gets to play for England. I hope he doesn't get injured, but I hope he gets to play for England. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that he should go from both the point of view of an English and a proud Englishman, I'm assuming, and also as a Newcastle fan? What are your feelings on Wilson? I'm particularly interested, Matt and Joe, from your opinion here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel, even from both perspectives, I'm not going to say as a Newcastle fan I don't want him to go, because as an England fan, I really do think he boosts our chances. I don't think there's any other striker in the past squads, that the players that have been picked, that does the same job or plays the same role Wilson does, in terms of he's ridiculously fast, but his hold that plays also very, very good. I mean, Kane, obviously, Kane's a better striker, but I don't think Kane can play the same way at all as Wilson plays, and I don't think any of the other strikers in contention. I mean, maybe Abraham, he can sort of be quick and be good at hold the play, but I just think Wilson's quite unique in his playing style. So I'd personally love him to go. Yeah,
Matt?
Yeah, I feel as though it's probably out of him and Ivan Toney, but I feel like Wilson's a better all-round player than Ivan Toney is. I think he scored like 4 in one game, and the goals got this season's 8 and Wilson's got 6, but Wilson's played 9 games, I believe, with 6 goals, which is a great return and assists. Plus, he offers something different to everybody else. Harry Kane, and he can go in behind Carney. And you know what I've noticed about his game? He's a bully. He bullies defenders. If you want someone to come on and, he's quite clever with it. You know, the way he was battling with Mings the other day, and he's all elbows and shoulders, knees and toes. He's literally all over him, and I feel like he could be a good, you know, a little feisty character in the World Cup squad. If you're looking at it from an England point of view, obviously from Newcastle point of view, I don't want him to go and get injured, but I do feel as though he'd definitely add something to that England team, and he can definitely offer something different to what Harry Kane does.
Max, what are your feelings on it?
Yeah, I don't want it to go because I don't want to see him get hurt. But yeah, for him personally, if he really wants to go, I really hope he does go. And I agree with you guys because out of the other striker options, I think is the most different from Kane, and you need that in your squad, because if you're in a game and you're stuck, you know, it's 0-0 and you can't create anything, you need someone completely different to throw on, and then I think he's the right option. I would also argue maybe Dan Burn should go, but I don't know your guys' opinion on that. But
yeah, I was going to bring that up actually, Max. That was going to be the second one. Well, what do you think about that? Do you think Dan Burn should go? Max?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think the other defenders are particularly good. I mean, it's like Harry Maguire, Eric Dyer, and yeah, who else? John Stones. I mean, I think he's equally as good, as, if not better, and in better form than all those three. So get him on the plane.
Joel, Matt, would you like to see BDB on the plane?
I mean, do I think he'll get picked? I don't think it's a close one, but I think he'll just miss out. I think in terms of a left-footed centre back, I think he's probably one of the best we've got. But I think the selection in, you know, Southgate's got his favourites, you can call it, and you know, Stones will be in there, Tamori, and I feel like there's already a set defenders, and then obviously the right backs changed since people have got injured. But I think
will Mings get on? Will Mings get on the plane? So will Mings get on? Will he get on the plane?
I hope he doesn't.
Because he's shite.
I genuinely don't think he's that good at all. I mean,
he's nuts. He's just really nuts. Yeah,
Wilson literally bullied him for 90 minutes. Like he's so standoff. Like he never ever goes in for the tackle, and he just. I was watching him. I'm like, there's just no way he can be picked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get involved in other teams' politics and stuff, to be perfectly honest with you. But like, from what I can understand, what the first thing that went wrong was at Aston Villa was Steven Gerrard basically fell out with Mings, said you're not good enough, and that's why I brought Carlos in, who unfortunately got injured, and then had to bring Mings back in basically, and Mings never really forgave him for that. But you can see why, because he's not very good. I don't think so. You know?
Yeah. No.
You know? Sorry, I'm just looking at the comments. Sorry, I'm just catching up with them. Yeah, I mean, Black Mamba saying he prefers if Wilson stays home. We're talking about Wilson there. Yeah, like Wilson. I would like him to go for him. Selfishly, I'd probably like him to stay, but it gives him motivation. And if that is better for Newcastle, then I'm all for that. Stuart Fallon says, "Hi, that's first time here. Welcome along, Stuart. Thanks to have you along." And Almiron Player of the Month. Yeah, don't disagree with that. And is there a possibility, by the way, on that topic, that we could have like Manager of the Month, Goal of the Month, and Player of the Month? Is that a possibility? Like, yeah, it's a possibility. Like that can actually happen. That'd be crazy. Okay. We'll have a little chat then. We're going to play a wee game, as we always do towards the end of the pod. Name that tune, which if you haven't been watching before and Stuart, you're new, you won't. We have basically a very simple premise, which is it's guess the player. I'm going to give out some clues, and the gentleman will call their name out when they want to have a guess, and they're allowed to guess once per round. Okay, so round being every time there is a clue. Should we, and we're doing it behind the curtain stuff, should we make it a bit harder? I'm thinking for Matt, because he's too good at it. But should we basically have, you're only allowed one guess premium, like just one guess. So basically you have to decide when you're going to guess. Should we just do that? Instead of doing it per guess, like one guess per name. Do you know what I mean by that? Yeah, so like if you only get one, so basically you have to be like poker. If you show your hand and you don't get it, then you're out. Someone else might get it. And if no one's got it by the last clue, then I'll give you all another guess. We'll do it like that.
Is that for everyone? Yeah.
For everybody? That's for everybody, yeah. So basically...
that's why it was just for Matt. I was like...
Just Matt. It was too good. So I will give you the clue. If you think you know who it is, you shout out, but you don't have to, because if you get it wrong, you're out. until all the clues are right. And there's 5 clues. I think one of them has only 4 clues, actually. 5 clues. And at the end of it, if you still haven't got it, I will then. You probably will have got it by then. Because of this change of rules, it's going to be fastest voice first. If you shout out, I'll go to you first. Okay. You ready to go?
Yep.
Cool. 3 players. First player, here's your first clue. You don't have to guess if you don't want to. I signed for Newcastle in 2010 and I left in 2013 on a free transfer. I'm not anticipating many guesses on this one. You'd be a brave man if you did. No guesses? All right.
No.
Second clue. I won promotion with Newcastle United in 2010 and 2011. So one of the promotion winning teams, but left in 2013, 2 years later. Oh, I'm thinking. Okay, next clue. I have won the Premier League. Oh, I think Joel knows.
Yeah.
You gonna go?
No, I'm not going.
So I'll sum up the clues so far. Signed 2010, left in 2013. Was promoted for Newcastle. Joel?
Is it Danny Simpson?
It's Danny Simpson. Well done. Oh, Matt's fuming.
I'm happy other people playing. I'm happy.
The next clue is I've played for Newcastle United, Leicester and Manchester United. And then the last goes I play right back predominantly. And I think most people probably would have got it by the last clue. So you nipped in there, Joel. Good man. 1-0 to Joel. Okay, there's 2 more left. So it can either be a draw or a very narrow win for Joel. You go Stuart hitting Simpson with Leicester. Very good. Just after. Okay, player number 2. First clue. I was relegated and promoted with Newcastle. Obviously not in the same season. So got relegated with the club, stayed with them, brought them back up. Okay. Someone going to guess there? I would be brave if you did. I was club captain during my time at Newcastle United.
Matt. I'm going early.
Go. If you don't get this, you're out, and it's over to Max and Joel.
I'm just making it a bit exciting for the viewers.
Yeah, go.
Is it Colaccini?
It's not Colaccini.
No!
Oh, you have to set this one out. Okay. Any you want to go before I carry on? No, Max stopped on. Okay, clue number 3. There only are 4 clues here, by the way, so there's 2 more clues left. I scored 31 goals in 90 starts. So knew where the net was. I'll go over them again. Relegated and promoted with Newcastle. Club captain Newcastle. Scored 31 goals in 90 starts. Do you know what I'm at?
Yeah, I know.
I have no idea.
Okay, all right, last one. I scored a very famous hat trick for Newcastle United. Max was in there first.
Nolan.
Yeah, Kevin Nolan. I think that's your first point, Max, on the board.
Yes.
Yeah. Very good. Fisher Mark just beat you to it. Fisher Mark only just beat you to it. Very good. So we have 1 for Max, 1 for Joel, and none for Matt. Oh, what a turn up. Okay, so you can draw level and they got a nice clean draw, or either Max or Joel are winning tonight. This is a 4-clue one. Okay, here we go. Last person of the night. I nearly read the name out there. Reading off a sheet of paper and I just read the name out. Alan Shearer, no. Okay, so first clue. I was named Player of the Year for Newcastle United for the 2009-10 season. I think that was the season we were in the Championship, but I can't remember. But anyway, 2009-10 season with Player of the Year. No? Okay. Clue number 2. I scored my only goal for Newcastle against Nottingham Forest in 2010. So only 1 goal scored for us. And yet he was Player of the Year. The torture match, please. This is
I
a way
prefer it
better
when
way
we
to do
can
it.
have
than
a
that.
guess, because now I know.
This is a way better way of doing it because just random guess. So yeah, they mean so much more. Okay. No guesses, no. No. Okay. Last one. There's two more. Clue 3. I was bought and sold for. So I was bought for 6 million. Actually, it was 6.2 million, but let's say 6 million in 2007, and sold for 6 million in 2011. So I'll go over the queue before I give you the last one. Named Player of the Year in 2009-10 season. Scored only 1 goal for Newcastle against Nottingham Forest. Excuse me. I was bought and sold for 6 million, 2007 and 2011. And last clue, I am a fullback.
Matt,
Go for it.
Jose Enrique.
Yeah, draws a level. Good man. I think you get that sooner, actually. Very good. Yeah. And you go Player of the Year.
I jumped in too early on the last one. I thought.
Did you think it was him in the last clue?
I was scared you, Max or Joel, were going to jump in and say that.
Stuart Fallon, thank you so much for guessing. You got one of them, didn't get the other two there. Harper Jonas is actually a very good guess because he was in that championship season, so very, very good. Producer Mark wins apparently, but actually it's a draw. So you all drew, so well done, guys. Guys, as we finish off before we go a little bit longer tonight as usual, just before we finish, your predictions for the weekend. Can I point out? I think we were all really close last week. Like, I'm pretty certain. I think I said 3-0. I didn't say 4-0. I don't think. I don't know if anyone did say 4-0, but we're all pretty darn close. What do you think then? Goal score? Not the goal score. Just give me the goal score line. Away to Southampton, potentially tricky, but it's hard when they're a funny wee team. What do you think, Max? We'll start with you. What do you think the score will be on Sunday?
1-1 draw, as always.
Okay, and again, it may well be. I can certainly see it. A 1-1 draw, which means you're going to win 7-0, so it's fine. All right, thanks, Stuart, for watching Northwest Champions League. Lucky man. Thanks for watching. Come back again next week. Joe, what about you?
I'm going to go 3-1. Very optimistic. Southampton, good record. I think Maxi, if he gets involved, I remember he scored against Southampton in the past. So we'll go with him to score. I go Wilson again to continue his good form. And I'm waiting. I'm just going to check. Willock hasn't scored this season. Yeah. Willock is due a goal. So I'm going to go Willock for the third. There we are.
Yeah. Matt?
2-0. I want to go Callum Wilson and Bruno.
I'm going to go either, Matt. I think it'll be 2-0. I don't think we'll concede a goal. I think our defence is very, very strong. I don't know who punishes us from them. Kyle Walker-Peters is generally renowned as one of their better players, and he's still injured, I think. So, Che Adams has been okay. I think he scored. Stuart Armstrong. These are average players. No harm to them.
Yeah,
I just think they're not as good as, they'll fight and they'll play well. But I think we'll be too strong. So it's like 2-0, possibly 3-1, some combination of that. Yeah, well, our win for the Toon would be great. Guys, thanks so much for sticking with us tonight. Stuart, with a wee quick prediction of 4-0. Again, stranger things have happened. I can see it. This is the thing. That is eminently possible. Could be 4-0, totally could be. Guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight for chatting. It was really enjoyable, and thank you so much for all the comments, folks. We really appreciate it. If you are watching along, do give us a wee like and subscribe to the channel, so you don't miss any episodes and you can watch them back afterwards. Guys who are joining me, thanks so much, and we'll see you again next week.